Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mira Sivisodi, and I'm going to be your host for today's event. And it is indeed a great pleasure to have you as our host for the launch ceremony of the PIAM MTA 2022 nationwide road safety campaign, which is a collaboration between Persatuan Insurance Arm Malaysia, PIAM, and the Malaysian Takaful Association, better known as MTA, with the support of the Royal Malaysia Police, PDRM, and the Road Transport Department Malaysia, JPJ. Allow me to welcome our VIPs for today. Yang Berbahagia Dr. Lokman bin Jama'an, he's the Director of Enforcement Division, Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan, JPJ. Yang dihormati Superintendent Dr. Bakri B. Haji Zainal Abidin, he's the Principal Assistant Director of Enforcement, Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department at the Royal Malaysia Police, Bukit Aman. We've got some pretty powerful guests today, you can tell. Mr. Anthony Lee, Chairman of Persatuan Insurance Arm Malaysia, which is PIAM, and of course, Encik Muhammad Sabri bin Ramli, the Deputy Chairman of Malaysian Takaful Association, Malaysia, MTA. Today, we will be witnessing the launch of a year-long themed campaign, which is, it's titled #SteadyBrother. Now, this campaign aims to educate and remind road users on the importance of road safety. Through the campaign, PIAM and MTA hope to contribute to the reduction of total road accidents and fatalities by positively influencing drivers to drive safely on the road. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Mr. Anthony Lee, Chairman of PIAM, to say a few words to mark the occasion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of the PIAM MTA 2022 nationwide road safety campaign with the theme #SteadyBrother. We hope that all road users will remain steady and practice defensive riding or driving in our effort to reduce road accidents and fatalities. This morning, I seek your indulgence to speak frankly in a personal manner without too much of a formal speech. Perhaps some of you here may be asking silently, why are we holding this event when the country is engulfed in battling the COVID-19 pandemic? Many citizens are also reeling from the devastating floods last month, which have caused untold damages to many households. So why are we holding a road safety campaign at this time of the year? Some of you may be thinking that we don't need to teach people the importance of road safety, since it is a topic that everybody understands and needs no further explanation. Yes, I get that. I'm inclined to imagine that if the media reports about this event in the papers tomorrow, many readers will probably just turn the page after reading the headlines. Yes, talking about road safety in Malaysia can be a very dull thing to do. Yet it is a very important matter that needs to be highlighted on an annual basis. To PIAM, road safety is a matter of life and death. Sadly, not all fully appreciate the importance of road safety campaigns. Perhaps only those who have lost a loved one or a family member in a fatal road accident can better understand and empathize with other victims on the importance of following road traffic rules and riding or driving defensively. Ladies and gentlemen, road safety is a very important subject, not just locally, but globally. It is for this reason alone that the World Health Organization, WHO, called the issue a public health crisis. Let me first share some statistics here so that you can understand the magnitude and seriousness of the issue. Globally, according to the World Health Organization, 1.25 million people perish every year due to road accidents. It is also the #1 cause of death among youth aged between 15 to 29 years. By 2030, WHO predicts that road traffic injuries will rise to become the 5th leading cause of death after heart disease, cerebrovascular disease, chronic pulmonary disease, and lower respiratory infections. These global figures drive home the message of how serious the matter is. Closer to home, the latest statistics in 2019, as provided by the PDRM, confirmed a total of 6,167 fatalities due to road accidents. This amounts to about 17 fatalities per day due to road accidents. According to the Ministry of Transport, more than 80% of road accidents are due to negligence. Out of the total road accident deaths in 2019, 64.22% of the fatalities involved motorcycle accidents. Accidents involving automobiles amounted to 33.3% of all road accident fatalities in 2019. Both motorcycles and automobiles account for more than 84% of road accidents in the same year. The latest road accident data are based on 2019 figures before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is interesting to note that the imposition of lockdowns to flatten the curve of the pandemic had inadvertently caused a rise in the activities of the gig economy, such as food deliveries. You may have observed that most of the food deliveries are done via motorcycles. As such, there is a great need for better road safety observation by motorcycle riders, automobile drivers, and even pedestrians to avoid unnecessary road accidents and fatalities. Ladies and gentlemen, not only do road accidents cause untold pain and suffering to the victims, but they also cause economic losses to victims, their families, communities, and the nation as a whole. According to PIAM, the total estimated damage due to road accidents in 2018 amounted to 8.85 billion ringgit. This includes costs incurred as a result of deaths, serious injuries, and minor injuries. What do all these figures tell us? Some comparisons will be helpful here. In Malaysia, we received 1,700 dengue cases per week in 2020. As of November 6, 2021, there were 17 reported fatalities due to dengue. As for AIDS-related deaths, in 2019, there were 986 reported cases. Then we also have COVID-19, which is causing havoc globally. At last count on December 31st, there were a total of 31,532 COVID-19 deaths in Malaysia out of a total of 2.76 million cases. These figures are all very worrying. I'm personally very saddened by the large number of individuals who have succumbed to COVID-19. Interestingly, there seems to be some link between COVID-19 and road accidents. According to WHO, global road accidents have dipped significantly since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in late 2019. This, says WHO, is mainly due to the imposition of lockdowns in major cities worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, while we work hard against COVID-19 and other diseases, let us not forget that road accidents also claim a very large number of victims every year in Malaysia. Cognizant of the seriousness of the situation, PIAM and MTA have decided to join hands in launching this road safety campaign. We are hopeful that the year-long road safety campaign will help to educate and instill in all road users the importance of road safety. With the campaign, PIAM and MTA hope to transform mindsets and inculcate safe driving habits among all motorists in Malaysia and to contribute to the reduction of road accidents, especially road accident-related fatalities. We hope to positively influence all drivers, riders, and also pedestrians to be mindful of road safety. As part of our campaign, we plan to include various activities such as road safety education programs and quizzes, community outreach initiatives through gamification and utilization of various digital media. The fight to reduce road accidents cannot be done by PIAM and MTA alone. This fight is a shared responsibility from the government ministries, government agencies, private sector, non-governmental organizations, and right down to you, the ordinary citizens. We need your help. With our year-long campaign, we hope to forge collaborative efforts with government agencies and private organizations, which may also share similar objectives to reduce road accidents and fatalities. Towards this end, both PIAM and MTA welcome government agencies and private organizations to help us in this endeavor to save lives. So we welcome any ideas to further the agenda to reduce road accidents and fatalities. Please talk to us. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with a personal observation. Everyone who leaves home for work, visiting friends and relatives, or simply going out on errands expects to come back home safely to their loved ones. Let us then join forces and play our part in sharing the importance of road safety and the benefits of riding or driving defensively to reduce pain and suffering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. That was a powerful opening remarks, I have to say. But while we pledge for better safety on the roads, the support from our authorities and enforcement departments are extremely crucial. Our Road Transport Department, or better known as JPJ, plays a role as an educator. All of us just go there because we need to renew our driving license, right? But in which this department has actually laid out awareness and even outreach programs for better road safety among Malaysian motorists. So allow me to invite Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Lokman bin Jama'an. He's the Director of Enforcement Division at JPJ, to deliver the keynote address. Datuk Lokman.
Thank you, Mr. Mera. Good morning and salam sejahtera. Thank you, Mr. Anthony Lee, Chairman of Persatuan Insurans Malaysia, PIAM, and Encik Muhammad Sabri bin Ramli, Deputy Chairman of Malaysian Takaful Association, for inviting me here to this very important event. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of Yang Dirhormati Superintendent Dr. Bakri bin Haji Zainal Abidin. He's my friend actually. Principal Assistant Director Enforcement, Traffic Investigation Enforcement Department, Royal Malaysian Police, Bukit Aman, here at the launch event. Good morning also Tan Sri, Datuk, all distinguished guests and members of the media. Thank you for being here on this beautiful morning. It is indeed good to kick off the year with a very important event, as it can be a significant life-saving campaign. Mr. Lee has revealed some important reasons why we are gathered here this morning. He also shared some very interesting facts and figures. I agree with Mr. Lee that road safety is a matter of life and death. I'm also aware of the constant remarks that Malaysians are terrible road users. Are you one of them? Please answer yourself. Malaysians have a lot of bad habits while using the road. Speeding, for example, using the handphone while driving or riding, driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, driving against the flow of traffic, making illegal turns. There's a lot of lists that for me to continue. This is what we consider in JPJ as a 7 big sin. Yeah? This is precisely that the reason that I feel that road accidents are like a disease that needs to be eradicated from becoming a permanent part of our culture. If the facts and figures presented by Mr. Lee have yet to convince you, let me share the figures from a different perspective. Some of these figures are very recent and are yet to be made public. For your information, there were 6,167 deaths due to road accidents in 2019, and the total number of deaths in 2020 was 4,634, which shows a significant decline for almost 25 years. But wait, hold your horses. This is no time to celebrate, because I believe and fear that the drop in road accident statistics in 2020 was almost attributed to the imposition of various versions of the Mobile Control Order, or MCO, by the government to curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Personally, the tragic things of these figures is that road traffic injuries are also the leading cause of deaths for children and young adults. More than 47%, 47% of individuals between 2011 and 2020 who perish as a result of road accidents are aged 30 and below. This is devastating indeed, very sad statistic actually. In terms of categories, as mentioned by Mr. Lee, road accidents involving motorcycles recorded the highest number of deaths. Over 63% of all road accident deaths from 2011 to 2020 involved motorcycle riders. This is the reason that I mentioned and agree with Mr. Lee that the road accidents are a disease that needs to be eradicated from our country. Ladies and gentlemen, road safety is a serious business. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 74/2299 in 2020 has proclaimed 2021 to 2030 as the second decade of action for road safety. It is intended to serve as a guide for all member countries to develop, implement, and evaluate actions that are adapted and tailored to their specific context to systematically and methodically improve the safety of road transportation. With a mandate from UN, we can be sure that road safety has become a global problem. But before we address problem inherent road transport in other nations, let us first clean up our backyard. Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, we should no longer tolerate reckless driving or riding. Enough is enough. I'm pleased to say that reducing road accidents is one of the key purposes for the existence of the JPJ. We take this matter very seriously, and JPJ's approach is very pragmatic as we see to reduce the number of road accidents. In a broad sweep, JPJ's strategy to tackle the problem is via a two-pronged strategy. It is about advocacy and enforcement. To JPJ, road safety advocacy, which is aimed at creating awareness focused on 5 elements as follows. First, the advocacy program, education programs, intervention programs, social media campaigns, and engagement with NGOs, clubs, and corporate sectors. On this note, I'm happy to note that PIAM MTA campaign appears to closely follow the advocacy approach by JPJ. Congratulations to PIAM and MTA. Ladies and gentlemen, to eradicate the disease of road accident, advocacy plays a key role. Hence, JPJ has launched a program known as No Week Without Advocacy, promoting the importance of advocacy and preventing road accident. Under this program, JPJ aims to conduct advocacy programs every week in each state, targeting various target groups. We are aiming to reduce road accident by 50% by the year of 2030 based on 2019 figures. In other words, road accident deaths should be reduced to about 3,000 by 2030. Hopefully we can achieve this figure. If we achieve this, I will be very glad and elated that we have done something significant in contributing to saving lives. Hopefully one day we'll be able to completely eradicate death due to road accident. Our effort, I believe, is also in line with the United Nations' second Sustainable Development Goals for road safety, which 10 priority areas have been identified as follows. The first one is responsive governance, effective monitoring and assessment, safer motorcycle riding, speed management, safer work travel, safer travel for children and youth, safer infrastructure, safer use of vehicle, safer micromobility, and post-accident management. Ladies and gentlemen, from here, enforcement should also play its part in reducing road accident. As mentioned earlier, enforcement is the other part of our two-pronged strategy to reduce road accident. Errant road users may not like enforcement. On this note, I sincerely hope there's no road traffic law breakers among us here today. To reduce road accident, we have taken many actions to reduce road accident and fatalities by way of empowering and the enforcement laws, such as amending the Road Traffic Amendment Act 2020, which even stricter penalties. This includes even stricter penalties for driving under influence of drug and alcohol. In this case, the blood alcohol content is reduced from 0.008 to 0.05 as per WHO recommendation. The maximum fine for using the mobile while driving is one of the causes of major accident. This includes fines up to 1,000 or 3-month jails, include jails, yeah? Second-time offender may be fined up to 2,000 and jails up to 6 months. It's very severe punishment. Ladies and gentlemen, this year JPJ has planned several programs which will involve other JPJ divisions, local government authorities, and other related stakeholders. One of them is to advocate better safety, especially targeted at motorcycle delivery riders. Road accidents involving motorcycles are the highest compared to other vehicles. Hence, I hope that motorcycle riders will learn to observe the law better, such as observing the traffic light. This is the most notices that we find that they are against the rules and regulations. Illegal U-turns and not driving against the traffic. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to close by adding that what Mr. Lee has said earlier, everyone who rides a motorbike drives a car or any other vehicle, expect to come home to the loving arms of his or family. There is a sign along the trunk road from Tapah to Kampar, if you're aware, that says, ingatlah keluarga yang menunggu di rumah. Remember that someone is waiting for you, your family is waiting for you. That's why you have to pandu berhati-hati, drive safely, yeah? These, ladies and gentlemen, sum up all that we're trying to do. We can't do this by ourselves. We need you. We need all your support to help reduce road accident. It is indeed a shared responsibility. Let us work together to reduce road accident. With that note, I would like to thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and I wish you have a very fruitful day ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato' Lokman. You know, I'm as guilty as can be. I just paid some fines. Don't tell anybody, but yes, I did. Not all of us here, I know. I think all of us have a fine here and there to, to clear. But, to move on to enforcement, which is the most important people, I feel, in terms of managing us on the road. I mean, to hear that we are driving against traffic, what are we doing here in Malaysia? But anyway, road accidents remain high. Based on the latest statistics, about 17 fatalities occurred due to road accidents per day. To help us understand this better, please welcome Yang Dihormati Superintendent Dr. Bakri B. Haji Zainal Abidin. He is the Principal Assistant Director, Enforcement, Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department at the Royal Malaysia Police Bukit Aman to brief us on the current situation of road safety in Malaysia.
Okay, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, member of the panel today. I'm here, Superintendent Dr. Bakri from Royal Malaysia Police to present a big data here. Okay, very big thank you for PIAM MTA 2020 to organize this safety campaign that been carried for our nation. All right, it's more convenient and more presentable for me to talk in Bahasa Malaysia, if you don't mind. So what is a big data here? What is a mega trend challenge here? Okay, I like to present a big data so that we can learn something from what we are do now. Okay, this is the mega trend challenge for where? Where is the big data here? Where is the big data here? Okay, this is big data here. Okay, kita melihat, kalau kita melihat comparison di antara 2019 dengan 2020, satu angka yang sebenarnya, walaupun pandemik COVID berlaku, ia telah bring down the numbers, they bring down the accident, they bring down the kematian and juga kemalangan maut. Tapi adakah kita patut berbangga dengan pendataan tahun 2020? Data 2021 menunjukkan downtrend berbanding 2020. So apakah relate-nya di sini? Every 84 minit satu orang mati. Apakah kesannya? Kesannya, just imagine for all the member here, bagi satu kematian, nilainya mencecah 3.2 million. It's a big money here. 3.2 million bagi setiap satu kematian akibat kemalangan jalan raya. And at the end of the day, nilai yang mencecah 9.6 billion. Okay. So kita tengok, for 2019, 587,519. Ini before pandemic COVID-19. Pandemic COVID-19, 18 Mac 2020. So, kita ada menghalang pergerakan orang melalui sekatan jalan raya. Ada 836 sekatan jalan raya. Orang tak boleh rentas negeri, orang tak boleh rentas daerah. At the end of the day, 554,120 kemalangan. Before pandemic, kita tengok kematian pukul rata pada kadar 17 kematian satu hari. Pandemic, dengan sekatan perjalanan, kematian 13 orang satu hari. Where are we? Okay. Kita tengok daripada kematian kemalangan maut 2019, 5,764. Big volume there. Kita tengok pada tahun 2020, sebanyak 4,634. Volumenya menurun 1,538. So what is the question here? Adakah kita berbangga dengan penurunan ini? Dan akhirnya hari ini 2021, 2022, business as usual. Kematian telah naik ke paras 1,500 kemalangan satu hari dengan kematian mencecah 16 ke 17 satu hari. Business back to usual as 18 Mac 2020. Alright. This is a big data here yang sememangnya ada satu yang kita boleh mengambil pengalaman, walaupun kemalangan menurun 28%, maut menurun 25%, kematian menurun 24.9%. It's a big question mark here. Adakah 2021 and today 2022 kita boleh atau we can manage to bring down back the numbers to that figure for 2020. Okay. Kita tengok daripada data 2019 dan 2020, ini jumlah kemalangan yang kolom yang bertanda biru itu merupakan kemalangan yang dilaporkan di Malaysia, sementara yang bertanda purple itu ialah kemalangan rosak sahaja. Kita tengok memang berlaku penurunan yang menarik sebenarnya untuk dikongsikan dengan audiens, dengan kemalangan 26% menurun, maut 25%, kematian 25%. What is the issue? Okay. What is the issue from big data here? Okay. The issue is here. Okay. Kita tengok, this is the issue. Motorkar, pejalan kaki, buses, lori, van dan sebagainya memang menyumbang kepada kemalangan. Overall 24.9 menurun for this data 2019. Okay. Tetapi the big contribution ialah di kumpulan motosikal. Motosikal menyumbang hampir 64% ataupun kematian melibatkan 3,959. It's a big volume melibatkan kumpulan motosikal pada tahun 2019. How about 2020? Okay. This is a big data for 2020. Okay. Motorkar 19%, pejalan kaki 6%, dan what is the biggest contribution here? The biggest contribution here ialah kumpulan yang menggunakan motosikal. 3,118 ataupun 67%. Out of 100%, 67% contribute by this kumpulan motosikal. Where are we? Kalau kita dapat manage, kita dapat tackle this kumpulan bermotosikal, we can bring down the number. Basically, we can bring down the number. This is why PIAM, MTA have to do something with this target group. Okay, this is the target group that we must attack, that we must do something. We must do from police itself. We do the total enforcement on this kumpulan motosikal. We do the advocacy. Because why? To bring down the numbers that pada tahun 2020 67% melibatkan kumpulan motosikal. Okay. Alright. So, okay. Ini data, it's a big data melibatkan satu Malaysia. Daripada Perlis sampailah ke Sarawak, 567 kemalangan jalan raya. You just imagine. Kita ada data daripada Dato' Lokman, 32,900,000 lebih kenderaan yang didaftarkan di Malaysia. Out of 32 juta, 567,000 terlibat dengan kemalangan jalan raya. Kalau 2018, hampir 800,000 kemalangan terlibat dengan kemalangan jalan raya. So, 2019, 567,000 kemalangan. 2020, disebabkan oleh pandemik COVID, dengan sekatan untuk tak boleh keluar negeri, rentas daerah tak boleh, we bring down the number 418,237. You just imagine, out of 32 juta lebih kenderaan, 418,000 masih terlibat dengan kemalangan jalan raya. Ia hanya menurun 149,279 ataupun 26.3%. So, di mana silapnya? Nak cakap enforcement, we are working around the clock. Polis, JPJ, we are working around the clock. Kita ada 8 operasi to tackle, to manage kemalangan jalan raya. So, daripada 17 punca kemalangan jalan raya, semuanya merujuk kepada sikap, attitude, behavioral pemandu jalan raya yang menyebabkan kemalangan jalan raya. So, where are we? So, tengok 567,000 kemalangan tahun 2019, tahun 2020 418,000 kemalangan. Okay? Bring down the number hanya sekitar 26% sahaja. Alright. So, tengok lagi big data tentang kemalangan maut. Saya sebutkan tadi bahawa setiap 84 minit satu orang mati. Cost 3.2 million bagi satu kematian. Tidak termasuk cedera parah. Cedera parah dalam lingkungan 600,000 hingga ke 900,000 ringgit. So, memang berlaku kematian 2019 5,764, 2020 4,297. Menurun 1,467. What is the big ekspektasi here? Dengan pandemik COVID, orang tak boleh bergerak ke sana ke sini ke hulu ke hilir. We should bring down the number at least kepada 1,000 orang mati. Tetapi today data 2020 masih berlaku 4,297. Semua negeri terlibat dengan kemalangan jalan raya. From Perlis sampailah ke Sarawak. Dan the big data yang melibatkan kontingen Selangor 1,008 pada tahun 2019, 2020 764 kemalangan maut melibatkan kematian. Okay? Tengok. Semua state ada kemalangan, tidak ada kecuali. Even though Perlis yang kecil, small country pun 43 orang terlibat dengan kemalangan jalan raya. So apakah efeknya? Kita tengok 46 kematian dilaporkan di Perlis. Dan juga yang paling tingginya ialah melibatkan Selangor, 805 kematian. Dengan juga Johor 697 dan juga negeri-negeri lain. All in 6,000 daripada 6,167 pada tahun 2019, 2020 4,634 kematian. Menurun hanya pada kadar 1,533. We do the total enforcement. Saman kita satu bulan, satu hari 15,000. Tidak kurang 15,000 saman kita keluarkan. Sebagai deterrent kepada pengguna jalan raya. Jangan melakukan kesalahan lalu lintas. Satu bulan, satu hari 15,000. Tidak kurang dari 15,000. Melibatkan semua sektor trafik satu Malaysia. Dari Perlis sampai ke Sabah, 15,000. Satu bulan lebih kurang 150,000. Satu tahun 1.5 million saman dikeluarkan. That's why kita tengok bahawa walaupun saman tinggi, tetapi volume melibatkan kematian juga tinggi. So, di mana kita? Okay. Segala macam intervensi, segala macam perancangan, segala macam pendekatan, segala macam kempen dibuat, at the end of the day, 4,000 orang masih mati di atas jalan raya. Okay. So, it's a big issue here. Alright. Okay, kita tengok lagi tentang rosak. Ini rosak, big issue juga. Tahun 2020, 401,000. Rosak melibatkan kos kepada tuntutan insurans. It's a big insurans. Bila semakin tinggi tuntutan insurans dibuat, ia akan menaikkan premium dan akan menyebabkan ramai orang yang tertekan sebab terpaksa membayar premium yang lebih untuk menanggung kos kepada tuntutan insurans. Saya dipahamkan hampir 6 bilion tuntutan insurans yang dibayar oleh syarikat insurans bagi menanggung kos akibat kemalangan jalan raya. Okay. Menurun 152 kes sahaja ataupun 27.5%. Satu lagi data yang saya nak kongsikan here, very good data, di mana pada sebelum pandemik COVID itu hari, aliran di 30 sektor lebuh raya di Malaysia sebanyak 4.5 juta sehari. Di lebuh raya plus utara dan selatan, alirannya 1.2 million, 1.2 juta per day. So, pandemik COVID, alirannya jatuh ke paras 200,000 hingga 300,000. Hari ini, business back as usual, 4.6 juta aliran berada di atas jalan raya. It's a big challenge untuk kita masyarakat pengguna jalan raya. Kalau kita tidak berhati-hati, maknanya kita akan termasuk dalam kumpulan yang boleh menyebabkan kemalangan jalan raya. Okay? Ingat, pandemik COVID dengan roadblock here and there, 839 sekatan jalan raya polis. 400,000 satu kemalangan. Okay? Yang menyebabkan kenderaan mengalami kerosakan. Alright. Sama, kita tengok parah, 2,700 orang mengalami cedera parah. 2019, 3,022. The volume still high. So, itu yang saya cakapkan tadi, di manakah silapnya dalam pengurusan keselamatan jalan raya di Malaysia. Semua orang memainkan peranan. Daripada stakeholder, sampailah kepada persatuan-persatuan seperti PIAM, NGO dan sebagainya, mengambil peranan dalam menguruskan dan mengadakan kempen dan sebagainya. At the end of the day, this is a big data yang patut kita mengambil satu iktibar how to bring down the number. Ianya bermula dengan diri kita sebenarnya, right? Okey, lagi satu yang kita tengok bahawa kemalangan ringan juga menunjukkan kalau tadi kemalangan parah ada berlaku penurunan tapi berlaku peningkatan 64.9% melibatkan kecederaan kemalangan ringan iaitu 9,654. Still a big volume daripada out of 32 juta kenderaan. Alright. So daripada data yang saya sebutkan tadi, sebenarnya kalau kita tengok bahawa kalau kita boleh curb this target group kita iaitu kumpulan motosikal yang saya sebutkan di sini, 67% kita boleh manage to bring down the numbers dan menyebabkan semua orang akan rasa selamat dan selesa di jalan raya. This is the target group yang kita akan address pada tahun ini bersama dengan kita punya pasukan sahabat to tackle kumpulan bermotosikal. Dan part and parcel of this safety campaign juga, kita nak menyeru kumpulan yang bermotosikal untuk lebih berhati-hati di jalan raya. Hashtag kita, tunggang, jangan tunggang langgang. Okay? Pasal you are terdedah kepada kemalangan jalan raya. Dua roda, no airbag, no safety, no and kalau terlibat dengan kemalangan jalan raya dengan hanya kelajuan 60 km sejam, enough untuk menyebabkan kematian. So, so kepada penunggang motosikal, lebih berhati-hati untuk anda selamat di jalan raya dan tentukan bahawa kita mampu menentukan diri kita selamat dan kalau tidak ada kemampuan untuk berada di atas jalan raya, tidak perlu untuk penunggang motosikal khasnya untuk berada di atas jalan raya. Ini akan menyebabkan keselamatan kepada semua orang, kepada semua sektor dan tidaklah menyumbang kepada 67% out of 3,185 orang yang mati akibat kemalangan jalan raya. Okay? Simple saja. My hashtag is very simple. Hashtag together we bring down the number. Semua orang berperanan untuk bring down the number. Okay? Semua orang. Okay? So, katakan dalam diri kita, hari ini kita akan memulakan tekad bersama dengan PIAM untuk membantu bring down the number. Itu saja yang saya dapat kongsikan, big data here. Sebenarnya banyak input yang boleh kita ambil dan tackle lah kumpulan yang saya sebutkan tadi, motoris. Kalau kita dapat tackle motoris, we can bring down the number. Terima kasih PIAM yang menganjurkan this safety campaign. Harap ia akan mendapat satu pengajaran daripada apa yang saya sampaikan. A very big thank you dan jumpa lagi and selamat tahun baru. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bakri, on such great brief. I mean, grim numbers indeed, but it sort of brings about so much awareness that we need to do something about this. Based on the facts presented and the road safety campaign, it's definitely one of the ways to spread awareness and to remind our drivers to always be mindful behind the wheels. I think 67% of motorcyclists deaths is a lot of numbers for that group of people. Members of the media, you are most welcome to start posting your questions for our panel discussion after the launch gambit. Please, if we can have your media name followed by your name, that will help us identify you during the panel session. So ladies and gentlemen, we're now about to witness a very significant and memorable moment. I would like to invite our guests of honor to step forward to launch our campaign, the PIAM MTA 2022 Road Safety Campaign, #SteadyBrother. Yang Berbahaya. Let us welcome Yang Berbahagia Dato' Lokman bin Jama'an, Director of Enforcement Division, Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan, JPJ, Yang dihormati Superintendent Dr. Bakri B. Haji Zainal Abidin, Principal Assistant Director, Enforcement, Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department, Royal Malaysia Police, Bukit Aman, Mr. Anthony Lee, Chairman of Persatuan Insurans Am Malaysia, PIAM, and Encik Muhammad Sabri bin Ramli, Deputy Chairman of Malaysia Takaful Association, MTA. Gentlemen, if I could please ask you to raise your hand to the button. Fantastic. And on the count of 3, please raise your hand to pledge for better road safety awareness and a better future for all our road users. On the count of 3, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, members of the media. We're now in our panel discussion with the gentlemen on this topic of road safety. If you have a question, once again, just put in your media name followed by your name and the question, and they'll be happy to answer these questions. So we're going to just very quickly kick off with some of these questions. I'm going to start with JPJ and PDRM. In the near term, what are some of the new policies and programs, interventions can we expect in this area of road safety among the public? JPJ, you want to go first? Dato' Lokman?
Of course, thank you very much, Ms. Mira. Of course, when we say about, we see new policies and program intervention, we have to look into the big data as being presented by our colleague here, saying that 6% of the fatal accident or accident involving the motorcyclists. So we are focusing on the motorcyclists in terms of to reducing the statistic of fatal accident and accidents. So for us, nothing more important than approaching the target group. So as we know that most of the riders are the youngsters. So I think the best approach is to sit with them, talk with them, in terms of give them awareness that they have to impart during the usage of the motor vehicle.
Okay. On the side of the police, Superintendent Dr. Bakri.
On our side,
Yeah.
PDRM. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we have a target group to tackle. We are using two methods here. First, through our total enforcement. This total enforcement, we are deploy all our men to what we call under this 8 operation. Okay, we do all the operation, and then secondly, advocacy. This is part and parcel of our policy to educate, especially the target group. Okay, then for this coming for this coming New Year's, okay, basically there is more. We are away for holiday. So we organize a Op Selamat with our colleague and our stakeholder to make sure you are safe under the campaign of Op Selamat. There is a hashtag there, Rumah Selamat and Selamat Sampai ke Destinasi. This is part and parcel of our service delivery to the public.
Okay.
Okay, right.
For both of you gentlemen, I want to ask you, we've had road safety campaigns for years. I think I can remember it ever since I was a child. What do you think we haven't done enough? Or that what do you think have we not done that, our numbers are so high. It's just increasing by the year. What are we not doing right? What is wrong in the system? If you have run out of people to put on your operacies, JPJ is doing their bit. So what else do we do then?
Okay, can I answer that question?
Sure.
Because previously, we are looking into more towards enforcement. We are not looking into the big data. Nowadays, with the big data, it's really help us in terms of formulating our enforcement strategy.
Okay.
So this is part and parcels of our strategy now to enhance the enforcement effectiveness, by looking into the big data. So we work closely with PDRM in terms of analyzing the data. So then we can have a specific target in terms of doing enforcement to get a better result. That's our approach now.
Okay. Could you give me an example of how you're going to use big data for enforcement strategies?
So okay, now from the data we can see maybe we can stream down to where the actually accident-prone area.
Okay.
Then that's the area that we are focusing on doing the enforcement. So then we are less using our enforcement officers, but the result will be more better.
Okay. So we also have... Sure. Go ahead, Anthony.
So we started together at MTA, actually engaged with a group that is actually using social media to question driver behavior down to state level to city level, right? So we've just done a first round and a first cut. The data's just come in. And it's interesting because it shows that in different cities, different states, there are different attributes to behavior. So once we get, this is why the data rich, when we get all of that, our targeted campaigns will be very specific. So for example, we've seen recently that in Penang, people are more likely to tailgate. Why is that? I don't know. KL is less likely, maybe the traffic's high, etc. So those different behaviors require different responses. And I think the advocacy is important so that, not just simply finding them when they do it, how do you prevent them from the behavior in the first place? So we have to look at, the youngsters behave differently, right? If we scold them and tell them, they don't like to listen, right? We have to find people who can influence them. Obviously, social media is very powerful, and we got to look at those and use that to do something different, right? Because, as you've said, all the stuff we've been doing all the years has helped, but of course, we got to do something different to get to the younger segment and make them think harder about it. And this is where this steady brother, we're trying to make it, sort of a bit cool, and it's uncool to be a bad driver and cause death on the road, right?
But isn't it funny, the psychology...
Okay, from the big data, there's another, our plan is to go localize, to go local. As our friend said, yeah, we have to localize to do the enforcement, especially the rural and the other state. So I just present every state. Okay. So we have to localize the thing and enforce through local people, especially local people. You're not following the law.
Sure. So you have big data, which is great, which will help you decide how to create the interventions. But it's very behavioral as well. Would you like to help us understand the psychology of the whole thing?
Okay, thanks, Mara. So the most important thing is that when we look at the statistics shared by Dr. Bakri, right, Dr. Lokman, we look at the fatality and the age bands of those involved, right? So from the age bands, we will know whether they are tech savvy or they are those that they are not exposed to the digitalizations. That's how we look at things, and our target campaigns is focused on how do we manage and to address the issues. So when we look at it, when we look at the youngsters are the one are affected by the higher fatality, like what been shared by Dr. Bakri, the motorists, the motorcycle riders, and also the age bands, the age bands of 19 to 25. So these are those that have exposed to tech savvy, and that's how we're going to penetrate and use the digital media, the social media platform to address and make them aware of what we are trying to do here.
Yeah. Anthony, you said something about gamification. That is something that really resonates with the younger people. But first of all, when you say younger people, what is the age group that we're looking at?
So if you look at the data at the moment, it's kind of up to 30, right? 30 and below is really that sector. And even if you take in KL, right? So the delivery drivers on motorbikes.
Yeah.
And we all
P-hailing, they want to call P-hailing.
yeah,
Parcel hailing.
Parcel hailing. Yeah. They are driven by how many and how fast they do the deliveries, right? So that KPI is completely going to encourage them to break the law, right? So maybe one idea is we work with the people that run these delivery companies like Grab, etc., and say, you need to educate directly your drivers, and you need to monitor, right? So if they have so many summons or whatever, there needs to be something there. So it has to be very targeted. That's what I'm saying. These things, we're creating different cultural behaviors, and that driving is, we all know, these are the ones that run through the red light, go down the wrong way, do the U-turn where there isn't any, and we're watching them do it, and they're just getting away with it, right? And police are doing a great job, by the way, targeting them, which is very, very important. But I think we need to go to the actual people that run these companies and say, you also are accountable for creating the behavior, right?
Absolutely.
Totally agree. This is high time for us
to
penetrate this operator.
And this is the first time all of us are sitting together, right? So if we work...
It's such an honor.
No,
really.
if we work together, which we are working together, right? So JPJ with PDRM, with MTA and PIAM, that's very powerful. And if we share all our stuff together, we can brainstorm, come up with ideas. And of course, we have to learn as we go along. We're going to try campaigns. Some are going to work, some might not work. We have to keep re-strategizing, keep going after it. That's why it's a one-year-long thing. And, like I've said, anyone in the public who has ideas for us, wants to work with us, we're more than happy to engage. And I heard something on the radio this morning or yesterday. I think it was someone's using AI, developing AI, to teach at driving schools. So actually the AI will determine whether the person's a good driver or not, rather than individual, right? So you take a lot of judgment out of the thing. So there are many, many interesting ways to go forward and tackle the whole thing.
How about schools? I think this starts in year one.
Absolutely.
How do we do that? How do we get into schools and get children understanding about road safety? And I think it starts there. Because we're not good examples. I don't think.
When I was small, I still remember Shell is promoting the safety campaign. But now it's rarely we can see that the corporate, corporate coming in, chip in and contribute into this campaign. I don't know why. Sometimes we need to encourage them again. Or sometimes government also need to give some incentive for the corporate companies, you know, to come in, chip in. Because one fatal accident costs about 3.1 million, is it correct? About 3.2 million if one fatal accident happened. Because if someone who injured or died during the accident, maybe his doctor, how much government has invest on him to become a doctor is about 1 million. Yeah. So I think this is time for the government to look into this seriously, even though in JPJ we have what we call it Bagian Keselamatan Jalan Raya, which is actively campaign and doing the advocacy. But I think we still have room to improve. Yeah.
There is a uptrend in young drivers, as you have just
I would like to share one thing.
Sure.
As a PDRM, we have what we call a pegawai perhubungan sekolah.
True.
So this pegawai perhubungan sekolah, they have to tackle whatever matters involve children in school. They have to go to deliver a talk, do the advocacy, and then do the enforcement. Okay? So from time to time, this is our part to do advocacy in the school.
You know,
Mera, I'm not sure whether during your time, right, during your school times, whether you are
thanks,
exposed
Sabri.
to...
I am not, it wasn't that far away. It wasn't that long ago.
During your,
As far as I
your school days, right, I used to have a curriculum where you will pretend like you are driving a motor car, right? And you're supposed to follow the rules, but like you have to stop at a certain at the T junction. So that was taught during my days. So I'm not sure now, but I guess that it's about time for us to bring back these kind of like curriculums to the schools to make sure that they know the rules of driving, right, or riding motorbikes.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
JPJ is where you're gonna have all these people coming to you, right? They need their license. How do you make use of that to educate people? You know, your education program before they actually get licenses. Do you think it's robust enough? Do you think you can do a lot better?
You know, I like the idea of when they're coming to us, so we can advocate them.
They are your
easily,
captured audience. They can't go
captured
anywhere
audience
else.
is very easy. But again, we must understand that first of all, when they get a license, we are confident that they are competent drivers, because from the syllabus that we give them, they are already competent. The problems now is the behavior, the attitude. Some people are very polite at home, very polite with the family, but once they are on the road, they are changing abruptly. 360 different attitude change. This is the thing that we are tackling. How we are going to do that? As what Mr. Anthony said, we have to segmentize. Some rural areas, they have different behavior, and in the urban areas, they have different areas. So we have to work hard in order to understand the behavior of the drivers. This is a challenge for us.
Okay. Reckless driving is a big problem, especially if you find on trunk roads in the East Coast and in rural areas. How are we going to go in there and educate people about road safety? I mean, if you go to Kuala Terengganu or you go to Cherating, for an example, you will see no helmet, nothing. 3 people piled on a bike. You know, it's free for all. You can do whatever you like. How do we do that?
That's why our new focus, our new target is to do a localized policing. Okay? As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 approach to do the operation, to curb the accident. Number 1 is total enforcement. Number 2 is advocacy. And part and parcel of this program, what we call localized. So this through localized enforcement, we can tackle or manage what you have mentioned here.
Okay. Anthony, I know some of your insurance companies who come under PIAM are quite proactive. They have actually done some campaigns on getting the public to donate for a helmet for children, for an example. I've come across that one in particular. I think that's a great initiative. Are you going to go back now and get your general insurance companies involved in this campaign, or getting them? How are you going to mobilize this?
Yeah, so
you can't do it on your own.
No, absolutely. So PIAM, obviously, the funding comes from all the companies, right? So they all contribute into the pool. So in a way, it's a collective approach. Now, it doesn't stop individual companies also doing more if they want to, right? And some are doing that. So I think, but what we've felt is that we really need this time to get everybody, all the great minds around the table, brainstorm and go after, where we can make the biggest difference. And clearly it is, unfortunately, the younger motorbike drivers. So it's too many of the next generation of Malaysians are dying on the roads, right?
Yeah.
So it's cultural. It's been there for so long. So we need to really, like I said, I think it's the targeted approach. Who influences them to think differently, right? Ultimately, that's the key. Because they are quite easily shaped, right? They will read and listen, and some are more powerful, ways of getting to them and making them think differently.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that young girls are not the ones dying on a motorbike, right? So it is, and we all know it's not a Malaysia problem. Young males all over the world are the highest risk on a road, right? So a bit of it is the testosterone behavior, unfortunately, right? So
especially at that age, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't fear anything when you're young,
No.
right? You got no fears.
Oh, yeah.
The key word here is together we make a difference.
Yes.
Hashtag steady brother.
Yeah, steady brother.
For a whole year, what does that look like? Do you have it fleshed out or not?
No, we have high level. Like I said, we've got all the different areas that we're thinking of, and now we're getting the data to look at where specifically different behaviors, and we're going to try different things.
Okay.
And hopefully by doing that, test and learn approach, I think really is what we're looking at.
How does the insurance work for, motorcyclists? Because you did say that, once you're involved in an accident, their premium goes up and all of that, right? So is there a difference in motor insurance premium between reckless and drivers who are responsible? Perhaps, making it easier for those who are responsible.
If you're talking about the motorcyclists alone.
Incentivizing, yeah. Perhaps incentivize motorists who are responsible to maybe, I don't know, lower premiums, for an example.
On the broad categories, right? The industry is looking into risk-based pricing or risk-based approach, exposure approach. So where we have embedded ourselves to understand about the driving behavior by smart intelligent gadgets to be installed in their cars, or even using the handphones. So you basically can subscribe to certain facilities provided by some of the companies, insurance companies and takaful operators, and they would probably look into how they can incentivize the careful drivers, looking into their habits of driving, like whether you do sudden acceleration, you do sudden braking. So these are being monitored by AI. Oh. So that's what is coming into the industry right now.
Okay.
But we need to understand the industry itself, because we are in the so-called tariff environments where we are confined to certain flexibilities in order for us to implement certain risk-based approach pricing.
Okay.
So basically, currently, we have limitations in pricing, right? So in a way, the bad drivers are being subsidized by the good drivers.
Yes.
Right? Now, the more flexibility we have, then that won't happen. And then if you're a bad driver, it'll be very expensive to get insurance, or you might not even get insurance, right? Now, of course, the problem is government's worried that, too many people get negatively impacted too soon. That's why this thing is slowly rolling out, but we do need it to accelerate so that you feel many things, right? If you're a bad driver, number one, insurance is going to cost you a lot more. Secondly, saman is going to happen and they're going to be in trouble. Thirdly, the license taken away, right? Yeah. So there has to be a fear that if you really are bad and multiple times bad driver, you're off the road, right? Which is what happens in most developed countries.
I mean, we would like to see that. So I'm hoping that all of you will be on the same page. Saman, so we can't be having discounts. How do we sort that out? I mean, when you give discounts, you're trying to say, it's okay, I'll give you a discount after. You just got to like pay 300 ringgit and this, how do you make it? It becomes less of a deterrent. I'll wait for the 50% discount and then I'll pay it off.
Okay, I think let me stress here that summonses is a last resort of our enforcement.
Yeah.
Because most of our enforcement is actually to curb the accident from happen, not to give summonses or give notices.
Agreed.
That is the last resort of our job. The important thing is that to increase the perceptions of being caught, how we are going to impart the perception of being caught. For example, Malaysian drivers in Singapore, they are rarely follow the laws and rules and regulations in Singapore. But once they come to Malaysia, the perception of being caught is very low. So they start doing offences, traffic offences. How we are going to increase the percentage of perception of being caught? That's why sometimes we have what we call it quick action. Sometimes by doing the summonses. Sometimes we have a spot check. Sometimes we have UPB. We call it camera mobile camera, which capture the motorists from doing offences on the road. Then this is to increase the perception of being caught. This is what we call it one of our approach to increase the awareness and to ensure that people on the road are following the rules.
Actually, there's a good example because, the recent campaigns around drink driving,
Yes.
I think they've been very powerful. So you now hear people are taking Grab and are not, deciding, oh no, I've just had a few drinks, never mind, I live nearby, I'll drive home, right? So I can tell you that has worked a lot. So a lot of people in KL now, when they go out on a weekend, they are either getting someone to drive for them or they are choosing to take a taxi, Grab, whatever, right? So it does work and it has, I think, changed a lot of the mindset.
Good point.
Absolutely, and I know that's happening already.
Yeah.
Can we have questions from the media? If you can just state your name of the media and your name, followed by your question, so we can actually answer some of that. What's the role of defensive driving in the driving school curriculum? I mean, how do you teach defensive driving, Dato' Lokman?
No, actually, when we talk about driving, the curriculum of driving, first of all, for JPJ, we want to ensure that whoever having the driving license, is competent to drive on road. The defensive driving is something that you have to improve yourself, because by improving yourself, you are protecting yourself and family. I think this is not the responsibilities of the JPJ to ensure that you are all competent with what we call it defensive driving. But for us, we welcome any ideas. Maybe a new curriculum can be formulated based on the current situation.
Yeah.
We hope that please come in, chip in with the ideas. Do send us any ideas that you have to improve our curriculum, please.
Would love to. I will do that for sure. Is there any questions from the media? If we can just have it on the screen, please. No? Okay. So I'll just move on to, you spoke about, Sabri, you did speak about the AI and everything. Are there privacy issues involved in that?
Again?
Privacy issues. Privacy
issues.
Yeah.
Okay, privacy issues, you basically you need to make sure that they sign up for because in order for you to subscribe, you need to install the apps, right? When you install the apps, then basically you are giving the consents for the system to track. Once the system able to track, basically you can share that behavior to insurance companies or takaful operators for them to then look into your results,
Right.
and determine your pricing.
Right.
And by giving you rebates, right? So these are the things that we're looking at.
Yeah, so it's a bit like life insurance where you can actually, eat healthy and
Right.
exercise
So-
and then get your premiums cut down kind of a thing.
Looking at obesity or otherwise,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
So,
That's right. Fantastic. We have a question from Francis Nanda from Cyber RT. Enforcement staff are overwhelmed because there are too many road offences. Would it make more sense to focus on specific locations to fix offences first, which is what you're planning to do? So I'm going to move to the next one. We need to renew road tax every year. What if there's an online quiz that has to be taken and passed for road tax renewal? Can insurance companies run such a road safety quiz as a prerequisite for insurance coverage? What do you think? Somebody else can answer the quiz, lah. Is my take on, but that's interesting. Every
Any
year.
incentive there?
Do a test every year, maybe.
I mean, all our staff have to do a lot of online training anyway, right? So maybe there's a good example that, you have to register and at the point of renewal, do something, right?
Yeah, Dr. Lokman?
Yeah, I mean, it will involve cost anyway.
Sure.
If you want to test every single drivers in every year while they are renewing road tax, it's a lot of
That is true.
A lot of effort. To be made.
Logistical, yeah.
But we have to balance between the cost and the effectiveness of the idea. It's good. The idea is very, very good. That's why we need to retest all the drivers. But again, we have to look into the resources as well.
Okay. Everybody needs general insurance anyway, right? Motor safety insurance. What happens? Do you have challenges when you issue these insurance coverage? Are people okay with it? I mean, is it pricey? Is there anything else that you can actually do to help them?
okay, from the experience, right, from the industry, nowadays the companies are looking into needs-based selling concept, where the clients, the public themselves will determine what kind of coverage that requires. So the most important thing is that their financial literacy. So where insurance is part of the financial literacy, and they need to understand what they require for their based on their lifestyle, and what kind of if something were to happen to them, what kind of protection do they require? So this is very important for them to understand. They themselves to understand what needs to be protected, and that would determine the pricing that they have to pay. So like you want to stay in a big house, you have to pay more for the house.
Yeah.
You have to stay in the small house, you just pay a little bit less, right? So that's determine what pricing of the insurance premiums or takaful contributions that you need to pay.
Are there common mistakes that drivers actually make in terms of leaving out certain things in a
The
policy?
great example is floods, right? Flood
Yes.
cover, right?
Right.
So we just had this terrible flood. Now, if you look at it statistically, now currently is, I think nationwide, only 4% of people buy flood cover. That was 1% 5 years ago. The cost of flood cover has come down by more than half. But look at that, and we know statistics where they buy flood cover, they don't experience a flood, then the next year on renewal, they don't buy the flood cover.
They remove the flood cover. They do not want to, but they need to understand that it is unpredictable. Insurance is not about you predict what will happen and you buy the insurance. Insurance is to cover unforeseeable losses, right? So it can happen over a period of 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Question, are Malaysian motorists generally over or underinsured?
So if you talk about flood cover, they're definitely underinsured, right? That's a no-brainer. And look, we're looking at things we might consider, one thought we've been asked to look at is, if you make it compulsory for everyone, of course, the premium probably be very, very low.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good thing, right? Then you don't have 20,000 people, now have lost underwater with a big asset. So I think, the awareness is the issue, right? We need, and to be fair, because without liberalization, before, any cover from any insurance company was the same. So no one bothered reading what is covered, what's not covered, they just buy, right? So we have to change the mindset, and it's happening. but it needs to happen faster. So when the pricing starts moving differently, people will think, a bit better. But it is awareness. People need to be aware. They need to learn and understand.
Absolutely, because after the floods, I think many of us went back to actually look at what
Absolutely, that was a
we
panic,
didn't
right?
know.
Yeah.
Most people didn't really know, right?
Yeah.
So going forward, all four organizations are going to be working together. I'm very, very excited about this. Are you going to start somewhere? Are you going to this is the good start, which is the launch of it? What happens after this?
So we need the working level, the teams to come together, and there are already organizations that are happening behind the scenes, right? So, for example, a good story is VTREC. We have a Vehicle Theft Reduction Council set up 10 years ago, and every year the number of vehicle thefts have significantly come down. So a similar format to look at, road accidents will be very powerful, and the fact that we're all sitting here today, I think is, we're definitely committed to make it work. And so we'll get it done.
A very good sign, for sure. Do you have any other questions from the media? Could we have the next question, please? Are enforcement efforts adequate in the country? Any current stats of enforcement to share from police and JPJ?
Of course, when we said about any enforcement effort adequate in the country, it's not adequate because we have limited resources, meaning that for JPG we only have about 2,000 enforcement officers, which we have to work very hardly. Sometimes we have to work overtime. Then the important thing is not effort, adequate or enough manpower. The most important thing is that the tagline today is shared responsibilities. So we hope that people on the ground, people at large, will help us in giving information, because we have under Section 114 of APJ 1987 that any information from the public at large who are doing the against the law, the traffic law, we will come to serve notices to the owner to come back to the JPJ, and we are going to investigate them. So please do let us know. Become our ears and eyes for us to help us in terms of enforcing our law.
Okay.
Please help us.
So where do we send this? Do we send it to a JPJ site?
Just send it through email. AADU. We have email AADU, and we'll send. Please send the information, if possible, with pictures. So easy for us to investigate.
Okay, I've seen tons on Facebook, so
yeah,
I'll send them.
Sometimes we just
I'll send them to you.
Sometimes we just pick up from the Facebook
videos
and we investigate. So this is part of parcels of shared responsibilities.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. Is there a next question? Can we have some statistics on road accidents for 2020 or 2021 for comparison purposes? I think Superintendent Dr. Sabri, yes, you did present.
This is a big data. Basically, for 2021, we will really soon. We will share the 2021 data.
Okay. So will you be sharing?
You can share.
Okay, fantastic. Is there a next question? We're aware that a lot of P-hailing drivers have not adhered to the traffic laws, such as we spoke about, running red lights. JPJ, PDRM, how are you overcoming this challenge?
Okay, to tackle this P-hailing, basically we have a big operation to tackle this P-hailing. For example, for the last November 2021, we organized a special op to curb this P-hailing. You just imagine, for a period of 1 month, there is 20,986 summons issued against this motorists and P-hailing. Okay, so this target group for us to tackle this year, as Mr. Anthony mentioned just now, there is must be a well-organized program to tackle this P-hailing, and the operator itself, we have to do something or do a big discussion with them, because the time factor is the challenge for this P-hailing. So this time factor involve what I call incentive, and the money is there. Okay? if the operator for this P-hailing is what you call, that's why we have to have a big discussion with this operator so that they will look after this all the P-hailing riders.
Fair enough. Next question, please.
We have a special op for motorcycle for this P-hailing.
Okay.
Okay, right.
You can't be having special ops all the time, so you don't have enough people as well. Are there any more questions from the media?
So for last question, I really agree with Dr. Bakri and Mr. Anthony that we have to pull in together the operator and the company itself, to sit together to see the fine line, what they should do in terms of, the P-hailing is the one who contribute to the...
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't sat down with them yet. It's been 2 long years of us drivers being so absolutely afraid that I'm going to knock into one of them.
We have
So is there any more questions? No. Okay, so we're running out of time. Can I ask you all to conclude? Inche Sabri, would you have a message?
Okay, the objective of the campaigns, right, to basically look into how we're going to reduce the accidents as well as fatality. So these are the objective of us, not basically to bring the accident down and to bring the fatality in order for us to basically have lower costs and reduce the potentially reduce the premium that will be paid by the public or consumers. So that's the main objective. It's basically to help people in reducing the cost and also their livelihood.
Yeah, so that's very progressive, I have to say. Anthony?
No, totally agree. Look, it's a win-win, right? Less deaths, less accident, pay less for your insurance. How good is that, right? It can't be bad. And most importantly, look, everyone, when you're on the road, you want to make sure you get home to your family, right? It's a simple thing. You just have to think about your behavior. You're in charge. You're in control, right? So people need to own that and understand that.
Okay. Superintendent Dr. Bakri?
Very simple. Change your attitude, change your skill, we will change everything. So our hashtag is very simple. My hashtag, together we bring down the numbers. And for the motorists here, tunggang. Jangan tunggang langgang. Thank you.
I'm so afraid just listening to Superintendent Dr. Bakri. Dr. Lokman.
For us, we are using the big data to ensure that our enforcement will be very effective. And we would like to increase our perception of being caught. For currently 30%, so we hope it will increase to at least 50%. So then it will be more effective, to give some kind of awareness. And advocacy is very important for us.
I think that's very progressive as well. The data is there. Why not use it, right? Fantastic. Thank you all very much, gentlemen. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Lokman bin Jama'an, Director of Enforcement Division, JPJ. Yang dihormati Superintendent Dr. Bakri B. Haji Zainal Abidin, Principal Assistant Director, Enforcement, Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department, Royal Malaysia Police, Bukit Aman. Anthony Lee, thank you very much, Chairman of Persatuan Insurans Malaysia, and Encik Muhammad Sabri bin Rabli, Deputy Chairman of Malaysian Takaful Association Malaysia. Thank you, members of the media, for joining us today. And we wish you all the best. Hashtag Steady Brother. You want to keep track of that over the next 1 year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.